Welcome back to Building Your Personal Brand Over 40. My name is Kim Conant and I'm a photographer, and I changed my life when I was 48 years old by becoming a photographer, and I had to completely pivot and change my personal brand. And this is why I like to tell people it is a power move. Why is it a power move? Because you have to know who you are to get to where you're going. So before you brand anything, you need to have clarity on your why. The why is the most important. And if you haven't seen Simon Sinek's famous TED Talk, there's a link below so you can watch it and get familiar with it. And what he's talking about is the psychology of how buyers, how people, how we purchase things, and it's through emotions. We want to know why people do things, not what they do. So when he's talking about businesses and companies, when they're promoting their brand, you need to lead with why. Why do you do what you do? We put our dollars, we buy things for causes, for things that we believe in. And especially now with being bombarded with so much information, it's really important to know your why. A lot of brands are leaning into that because now we care about what a company does, what a brand does, what they believe in. The statistics show like 70% of consumers will purchase or work with a brand if they have the same values as them. Your why is your internal compass. You want to ask yourself, why am I doing this right now? What do I want this next chapter to give me? And what's driving me to help others in this new way? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I thinking about stepping into photography? Well, it's because I didn't want to get to the end of my life and have regret. I always wanted to be a photographer. And I just was thinking to myself, it would be so sad and such a shame if I never tried. Like a lot of people, I was told, oh, that's not for you. Only real artists can be a photographer. You didn't go to art school. What makes you think you could be a photographer? And it really was very limiting. It's and even in my art class in college, I can remember the teacher really kind of paying more attention to what was considered like artists in the class, as opposed to people who had great skills. And there's many different ways that you can use photography. So there's all these different aspects that everybody encounters in life. We all do growing up, whether it's your parents, whether it's a professor, whether it's friends, or it's your own internal dialogue, limiting beliefs that say, nah, that's crazy. But my why was I always wanted to be creative, and I wanted something that filled me with purpose. And I also love working with people. And what I learned throughout this process is that I love photography and I'm good at it. And it's the first time in my life that I'm proud of my work and I understood what flow was. I could work for hours on editing photos, creating videos, creating content, visual content, learning new things. It filled me with so much pleasure and purpose. And we don't have to monetize everything that gives us pleasure and purpose, but I leveraged my years of marketing and sales to go into personal branding photography. And that's perfect because I know what it feels like to be a woman over 50 and feel like you're intimidated to be the face of your brand. So my why encompassed all of that. One, doing something that filled me with purpose and mission and serving other people, the creativity part of it, and then using my other skills to service other women to help them step into their next chapter with purpose and clarity. So when I know that internally, I can start to focus on, okay, who's my target audience? Who is my competition? How can I show up differently? How can I collaborate with them? So looking at your competition isn't a step to make you feel insecure or jealous or like that competitive spirit. It's more like, how can I show up differently? How can I ensure that I'm showing up as myself? And, in the sea of sameness, we definitely want to be able to differentiate ourselves. And that's the whole reason why you want to do personal branding, is because you want to highlight what makes you different and you really want to understand why you're doing what you're doing. So that first step is the most important. We're going to do every single step. Every week there'll be the next step. I have the link to the workbook if you want to follow along, and I highly recommend watching Simon Sinek or reading his book, Start With Why. We all want to work with people that we feel that we know who they are and they share our values. So I'll see you in the next video. The next step that we're going to do is, what is your mission and your vision and your values? So I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget that it is never too late to start building your personal brand, and it's 100% worth it.